Well, hello YouTube, it's me Fortmaster, and welcome back to another overly sarcastic productions reaction, and yeah, it's Fables and Folktales, Yuki-Onna? I very much hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Give me a second here.
Yuki-Onna.
Yuki-Onna, okay. That sounds Japanese snow woman, okay, there you go. So yeah, I mean, haven't heard, at least I don't think I've heard it, because I know the thing about, like, at least I've heard of, like, the Japanese snow women before. I don't know that much about the actual story behind them. And when I first saw the name, the first thing I thought of was Yoko-Ono, which, you know, isn't similar to that in the slightest. But yeah, I mean, it's not that long a video, but again, it's only a folklores video, so the last one that Red talked about with these was oh god, what was it? It was like the boy who didn't fear anything, and he only gained fear when he gained responsibilities as the new king. Which again, that was kind of sad, but still. But yeah, I mean, I want to get into this, want to know more about these, you know, these folklore creatures. So yeah, I guess with all that out of the way, of course, the original video is linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason. Corner video will lead to my Let's Play of the day, and with all that out of the way, let's get this thing actually started then, shall we?
In my climatological neck of the woods, February is a cold, gray month of winter limping over the finish line. The beautiful snowstorms and cold blue, cloud-brushed skies and crystal-clear ice formations are an ephemeral thing of the past, and thanks to the march of cars and time, the gunge has set in. February...
God, you know what? I'd be happy with the gunge. We don't have, like, snow at all. Like, yesterday, it was 12 degrees Celsius, and I live in Canada. God, I hate global warming.
February is left with dingy snowmelt, slush, and monotonously overcast skies. But perhaps
I mean,
it
we
is
still
because
have
of this
that.
seasonal fatigue that February is also known as a month of romance. When the beauty of winter fades, we appreciate beauty in other ways, and when Valentine's Day rolls around, the deluge of glitter and hearts and pink drowns out the last days of winter and makes us briefly forget the cold. But
yeah, which actually thinking, I don't know when this recording itself is going to go out, but I think at the moment it's probably going to be coming out after Valentine's Day. So yeah, happy Valentine's Day to everybody.
waiting outside the warmth of romance and broad conceptual togetherness is the cold that never really goes away. And today I've managed to find a story that covers both sides of the Valentine's season, the love and the winter. Today's festive folktale was translated from Japanese by Greek expat and prototypical weeb Lafcadio Hearn and compiled in his 1904 book Quaidon, a collection of Japanese ghost stories published shortly before his death. Allegedly, this folktale was told to him by a farmer named Nishitamagori as a local bit of folklore, but obviously that is a little bit hard to confirm. Still, that's better than a lot of turn-of-the-century folklore citation, and structurally this one does have a lot in common with other folktales in the region. So, with the tentative certainty that it's probably about as legit a Japanese folktale as we can get, today let's tell a story of a snow maiden, the Yuki-Onna. Our story begins in the Musashi province, the area of modern-day Tokyo, where an old woodcutter and his young protege Minokichi are plying their trade in a wintry forest. But while they're out and about, a heavy snowstorm blows in, and our intrepid heroes find themselves trapped on the wrong side of the river, far away from town, with nothing but an empty ferryman's hut to shelter them for the night, without even a place to build a fire. They tuck up as best they can, and while the old woodcutter conks out almost immediately, Minokichi stays awake for long hours, listening to the howling winds of the storm. But despite the circumstances, he eventually manages to get to sleep, which is a mistake because he wakes up to the door standing wide open, snow blowing into the hut, and a woman dressed all in white standing over his mentor, breathing a stream of icy mist over him. Minokichi obviously finds this very distressing, and the nightmare only intensifies when he realizes he can't move, and all he can do is watch as the ethereal snow woman finishes her mysterious work and turns her attention to him. Even in this moment of absolute frozen terror, Minokichi can't help but notice how stone-cold gorgeous she is.
If I ask her if she's single, will she kill me faster or slower?
And it seems the feeling is mutual, because she stops and whispers to him that she was planning on doing to him what she just did to his master, but on closer inspection she realized he's pretty, so she's decided to spare him. But she warns him that if he ever tells anyone about her or what just happened, she will hunt him down and kill him. With that, she walks out and vanishes into the storm. Minokichi, now magically unfrozen, unfortunately finds his mentor frozen dead, and when the ferryman arrives the next morning, he finds Minokichi unconscious and ill next to the body of the old woodcutter. Minokichi gradually recovers from his mysterious ordeal, which he of course refuses to tell anyone any details about beyond the storm stranding them for the night, and eventually he recovers enough to go back to his job of woodcutting. And one day, while he's out on the road, he crosses paths with a young woman who introduces herself to him as Oyuki, which the story helpfully informs us is a very common name and not a red flag at all. She's very sweet and very polite and more than a little gorgeous, and after some lovely conversation, Minokichi invites her to his home, where her good manners immediately endear her to Minokichi's mother and the town overall. Predictably enough, this meet-cute blossoms into a romance, and shortly thereafter, a wedding. Minokichi and Oyuki share a beautiful marriage, and eventually 10 kids, though some of the townsfolk note that Oyuki certainly doesn't look like a woman who's had 10 kids, and is just as ethereally young and beautiful as she was the day she arrived. Which is probably fine. Just good genetics, I guess, nothing to worry about. One late night.
Yeah, just good genetics. I mean that is kind of the joke, isn't it? Like Asian people, the joke I've heard is that Asian people don't age until they all age all at once.
Night, after the children have been put to bed, Minokichi sees Oyuki sewing by the light of a lamp and is momentarily struck. In the pale, dim light, she bears a strange and uncanny resemblance to that half-forgotten stormy night so many years ago. He says as much, and when she asks him what he means, he tells her about the dreamlike encounter he had with the deadly Yuki-Onna that killed his mentor, the only thing he's ever seen that matched the beauty of his wife, but in such a strange and unearthly way that he found it utterly terrifying. Now, we may recall that the Yuki-Onna told Minokichi that if he ever told anybody about that night, she would find and kill him. And because Minokichi seems to have forgotten that, Oyuki helpfully reminds him of what she told him all those years ago. The wind kicks up and Oyuki begins to dissolve into snow, telling Minokichi that if it weren't for their children sleeping in the other room, she'd be true to her word and kill him then and there. And if he ever fails to be a good father to their children, she'll be back to finish the job. With one final death threat to bookend their relationship the way it began, she turns into a wisp of snow and vanishes into the night. And that's where the story ends. A lot of fascinating layers to this one, considering how bite-sized it is. I think the moral of this story is that any relationship that starts with an NDA is doomed right from the jump.
Yeah, pretty much. I know generally folklore stories aren't meant to, make 100% sense, but does telling anybody the story really count when you're telling the person who did the things in the story to you? That is really weird. I mean, but also the fact that, as I said, the Snow Woman thing, I have heard before. Granted, it was in an anime, and it was, what was it called? That was it, yeah, it was an anime called Interview with Monster Girls, where you have this teacher, well, actually, in the world, the whole thing with, a lot of these, superhuman or supernatural monsters are literally just, genetic conditions, where you have, one girl is a vampire, but it means that she's, just a little bit more sensitive to, sunlight and has, long teeth and stuff like that. The other is what was it? Demiurge? It was a demi something or other, but it's basically Headless Horseman, where neck ends in flame and the head is just sort of its own thing. And then the last girl was an ice woman, and she produced ice and stuff like that. But the whole fact that there might have been the possibility that this creature might have been created by a European and then kind of been reabsorbed back into Japan folklore, that's I just find that really funny and really strange. Yeah, I mean, oh god, stories are weird and complicated, aren't they? Oh yeah. So yeah, of course, I guess with all that out of the way, originals linked in the description if you haven't seen it yet for some reason. Corner video link to my Let's Play of the day. I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.